So that was really truly inspirational. I still remember when I first saw Martin speaking. The big takeaway was really just everything, puts everything in perspective. And the other thing is the life about choices. We always have choices. And I think that's very important to remember. I'm the Group HR Director at BP, and I've been that for 5 years now. Actually, to the date, it's my 5th anniversary, which I'm delighted to celebrate with you. And I'm going to bring a guest, my assistant, Scooter. Say hello to Scooter. Scooter is a robot, yeah? And this is really an experiment which I started a year ago, because I do believe, while he still actually is working for me, many of us, including myself, are going to work with these kind of people probably in the next 20, 30 years. Now, normally when I'm in this theater, I sit on the other side and watch dance performances. I'm not sure if anyone knows. Has anyone heard of Carlos Acosta? Carlos Acosta, and that must have been 10 years ago, is probably one of the most iconic dancers. I think I heard that he's retiring now. I think he's been retiring for half a year, and so he gives his last performances. But what really inspired me, seeing him actually on this stage, was not only his passion, energy, but his raw talent. It showed in every move he did. And I think this is what we're going to talk about, talent and technology, and I think they do become more and more intertwined. The reason why I picked this theme was really, I firmly believe the future of companies, the future of this world depends on two things. Good will be distinguished from great companies by their ability to hire the right people, and equally by the ability to embrace technology, and that's what I want to talk about. Now, question, so we're going to do that a bit of interactive. What is this? First row, what is it? It's a computer, yes. Now, the interesting thing is this is the computer which I had probably 18, 19 years ago, and it is an IBM ThinkPad, yeah, IBM ThinkPad. And that really inspired me to this conversation because I realized over the last 25 years, who has been in the work process for more than 20 years? Raise your hand. Okay, great. Did it ever actually occur to you when you enter your office on a Monday morning that not so many things have changed? You look around left and right and everything is full of paper. 20 years ago, we talked about the paperless office and how wonderful everything is going to be. This wonderfulness has actually slipped away from me because of this paper. The computer, as I said, this is 20 years old, these things. My current computer does not look very different at work. Now, do I have all these modern things at home? Yes, but not at work, yeah? The other thing is I still use spreadsheet. 20 years ago, it was called Symphony, far more inspiring than Excel, but in many ways, it's the same as it used to be. And I still only use probably 5% of what this whole thing can do, which is a bit discouraging. Now, the other thing which I find also very interesting is that most of the training we still provide as a function, yeah, and most of the training we attend is still kind of classroom-based. And indeed, I had a way day with my team, and it's the most inspirational team ever. I have great people working for me, but we still had all these flip charts left and right, and we were writing like crazy, and I figured, well, that hasn't changed either in the last 20 years. Now, you might now ask yourself the question, why is this guy talking about talent and technology when he says nothing has changed? The reason why I'm saying that is I firmly do believe that we have reached a tipping point. And this tipping point is really mainly to do with two things. I think the economic power in this planet has shifted and will shift even further, and also do believe that technology is going to change the way not only we live but work. Now, I need to just want to bring one thing. I'm not really an HR person by education, by training. I'm an economist by training, started my career in marketing, and still bring a bit of a marketing product management approach to the HR function. But I joined actually then in the 90s in Vienna, and I truly can say I'm an HR person by passion, conviction. I love my job. and it's not always easy, but I also do believe as a function there are many things we need to do. Now, tipping point, why do I say that? Let me give you a few data points. I think the world has and will continue to move in terms of economic power balance from west to east, and we've seen many data points on that, and from north to south. Now, when you think about it, I just want to look at the first line. In 1980, we had 4.5 billion people on this planet. In 2020, it's going to be almost 8 billion plus 3.5 billion. Now, when you think about the world had in 1970, the world population of 3.5 billion. The point I'm trying to make, over 50 years, the world population will increase by the exact amount it took the entire mankind 100,000 of years to reach the point we're now going to reach in 50 years, and that will change the world. The other thing is, which is very important, the number of educated people, and when I talk about educated people, I mean college educated, will triple between 1980 and 2020. Now, amazingly enough, and that might surprise you, the number of working women is not going to change that much. It's going to be around 40%. But what is going to change, and that's actually hidden in these numbers, is the education level. More and more very educated females are going to enter the workforce, and therefore we will see that actually increasing the number of leaders and executives in the business world. But the most stunning number is that actually in 80 we had 1 million computers, and now it is 5 billion. And I think that is very important. Now, I want to make the point, and I invited and brought you a guest, because I think it's very important that we have some data points to really underpin that. And now the first question is, who knows this gentleman? He's the chairman and a majority owner of Reliance Industries. And BP has a joint venture with them, and I will tell you in a second why we want to listen to him.
From India to all of you, and my special respects to my dear friend Helmut for enabling this. As the world digitizes, we at Reliance have embraced technology and digitization in all aspects of our enterprise. Digitization allows phenomenal cross-functional integration and enhances and augments capabilities of individuals in the organization with access to unlimited data. We at Reliance have really gained by really relying on resources and experts from across the world, which we call staff on demand. We have moved to a cross-functional, multidisciplinary, small team, networked organization from a hierarchical, siloized, functional organization. We have been able to build in the last 30 months a broadband next generation technological organization, which is today comprising of over 45,000 professionals at 1,500 locations across India, which will serve 18,742 towns and cities and over 100,000 villages, covering 800 million people.
Now, the amazing thing is, he invited us to 3 years ago. He asked, explored the question, and said to my CEO and to me, can you help me change this company? We believe technology is going to change the world. And he had this vision of changing people, processes, digitize everything. You heard him using the word digitizing. And so I said, well, interesting. And I said to my boss at the time, we either do it or we don't do it. If we do it, we do it properly. So we sent 25 people to India, to Mumbai, to transform their people processes. And wow, deepest respect to Mr. Ambani, his courage, determination and vision to modernize his company, and thus not only the company, his country. Within a year, they had rolled out processes, used technology in, for me, unprecedented ways. It probably would take me in BP in a large company much longer to do that. And I just want to bring this example that digital and technology will shape, transform our function in significant ways in companies. Now, I want to just basically quickly take you through 4 trends which I believe are going to accelerate, and we need to be fully aware. I want you as an HR function professional to understand what this really means. The first thing is the Internet of Things. Who has heard of the Internet of Things? Very good, very, very modern HR people here. Now, the Internet of Things is really, when you remember, like 20 years ago, we probably had one device connected to the Internet. Yeah? I currently, when I think I probably have, how many devices would you have connected to the Internet now, roughly? Yeah. Yeah, I think most people in the audience probably have like between 6 and 8 devices to connect to the Internet, work computer, private computer, 1 or 2 iPads, 1 or 2 phones, and you can access the Internet. Now, in 2020, I promise you, the majority of you will have up to 100 devices connected to the Internet. You will actually turn on your fridge, your cooker, your stove, your coffee maker through remote control on the Internet. And this is not only going to change the way we live, but also the way we're going to work. Second thing, and I think this is also a very, very important trend, and this also defines the 6th wave of computing. This is machine learning. Now you see Scooter is a really early prototype. He is not as quick, as clever, and as articulate as I would like him to be. But reality is 20 to 30 years from now, by 2050, 50% of the jobs as we know them today will have gone away, disappeared, will be done by machines. And I think as HR function need to prepare for that. It doesn't mean that there are no jobs, but jobs are going to be very different. There are certain things machines will never be able to do, and some of these things, intuition, creativity, relationship, warmth, and that is what will define a workforce of the future. Third big thing is augmented reality and virtual reality, and this is going to really take off. 3 years ago, nobody really heard of it. Now, you probably have, I just Googled it, and there were 20 million hits on Google, augmented reality. Mark Zuckerberg last week at the Barcelona Tech Fair said, this is going to be big, and I believe it's going to be big. There are a number of new products coming to the market. Now, initially it will be gaming, but we as a function need to think about how is that going to influence the way we train. We already have now in BP, and you probably would not intuitively connect BP with technology. We have like training simulations, virtual training simulations. You can drill rigs on a computer in a simulated environment, and this is going to actually accelerate. Much of our training will be aided by that. Just think about the possibility. The third thing, and this is really quite amazing, 3D printing was something which was really the darling of the Wall Street. Those of you who are interested in equity and markets, I mean, 3 years ago they rocketed up, you know, it was the flavor of the day, and like a year later they just collapsed. However, 3D printing will not go away. Just make no mistake, in many years we're just going to print things at home. There are already the first printers coming on the market. I'm a non-executive director for a digital dentistry company, yeah? And before I joined this company, I was amazed actually. I thought what happens at my dentist is you know, what technology can do. We still have plaster in this thing. All this is not going to be necessary. In 20 years, probably in 10 years from now, you're going to go to the dentist. He takes a digital print of your gums and your jaw and your teeth. Then he basically tells you, these are the crowns you need, these are veneers, so this is actually what you need to have for the most beautiful smile, and then the dentist is going to print your crown veneer, and within 20 minutes you have completely reshaped the smile. This is already technically possible, but the issue is only 5 to 10% dentists currently use technologies because it's human behavior that needs to adapt and change. Now, just quickly summarize, Internet of Things, augmented reality, machine learning and 3D printing are going to shape the future. Keep that in your mind. I want you to remember that, but nothing more to do. Now I've brought another guest, and again, a question to you. Anyone an idea who this guy is? Any idea where he comes from? This gentleman, his name is Hoffman. Any pennies dropping? He comes from Silicon Valley. You all, and I promise you, you all know his company. He is the founder and chairman of LinkedIn. Let's see what he has to say.
Networks are part of what make Silicon Valley unique and interesting. And the advances that we've had in technology in the last decade or two are how to realize networks and how they change the world of work, how they change companies, and how they change how individuals are productive. So for example, if you take a company, key things for a company are to hire, talent, deploy it, market their products, and sell their products. Networks enable all three of these activities. So obviously there's hiring in terms of the network of how LinkedIn exists already, but part of how that amplifies is every employee in a company then becomes actually, in fact, a referral mechanism of the best kind of talent through products like Refer. So the kinds of themes that Helmut is covering today, everything from the use of machine learning, data, Internet of Things, all of these things are part of the new network future and will change the way we work when we think about what does productivity look like for companies in the networked age.
I think the amazing thing is the similarities between Mr. Ambani and Reed basically aligning and agreeing on technology is changing the world the way we've known it. Whether we like it or not, it is a reality. Very important. Now, what I want to move over, I just want to talk now a bit about talent, the second topic. But I just want to reflect a bit on us in HR and the role of HR. As long as I can remember, we talked about having a seat at the table and being more strategic. And I do believe many of us, or more of us, have a seat at the table now. I've been actually only the second group HR director in BP who has a seat at the table. Who actually here in the audience has a seat at the table, or their HR director at the top team? Yeah, that's okay. So roughly 50% do have the seat at the table. That's very, very different from 20 years ago. And I think as a HR function, we have become far more powerful, far more focused. I think we have become far more commercially minded. I still believe, and I still have a doubt in my mind whether we are as strategic and long-term as we could and should be. I'm not going to test that because I think there are no microphones, but how many of you could articulate your people or HR strategy in 30 seconds? Be courageous. Anyone could? I'm not going to call on you, yeah? Yeah, there's some people. It's not an easy thing, yeah? If you're one of the people who could not raise your hands, try to actually work on that. It is very important. Now, the first thing is I want to talk about, and there are four things. There are four things I want you to take away in terms of talent, what I think is going to really matter to stand out as a function to support the business. The first thing is actually understand the world we are in and the role of your company. If you're an HR professional and as you progress in your career, it's increasingly important that you do understand the context. Context is changing and there are very few people, very few leaders to be able to do that. First thing, very important. In BP, what we do is actually, we started following the investment streams to replicate actually our workforce. So assumption is in 5 years, in 10 years, where you invest the money, you will need the leaders, the capability. So very important to think about that, how to design the future with the leaders. Second big focus we need to have as a function and companies, define best in class. For many, many years, we've been talking about best, but I think we've been very vague what best really means. And yes, we need to have accountants in accountancy roles, we need to have lawyers in legal roles, but more important, in a world where computer will take on more and more roles. We need to actually think about the inherent skills we're looking for. And in my book, there's 3 things: IQ, EQ, and drive. You need people with the ability to think and connect the dots. You need to have people, and that's going to be more important in a world of machine learning. You need to have people who actually have pretty good interpersonal skills, who can actually connect to others and build relationship. And lastly, we need to have people who are actually intrinsically motivated rather than only by money. And the combination of the 3 is not easy to find, but that's actually what I would ask you to think about, because it will make a huge difference between winning and not winning. The third thing, and this is actually, we live in a hugely complex world. The world is actually more regulated, we are more globalized, and you probably all see it actually. It is difficult sometimes to really make choices. We cannot change that. We simply cannot change that. The world is what it is. But internally, I think as HR leaders, and this is really a request to HR, I think we have had a unique skill to complicate the world. As I said to my team, if we want to go from London to Paris, we sometimes go via Brussels, which adds an hour. So I think it's so important that we think about as a HR function how to simplify and modernize. We started a project in BP 2 years ago. We call it HR modernization. And as part of that, we look at all the policies, processes, and try to streamline that. And you would be surprised. You would be surprised if you look in your own company how difficult we articulate things, how many touch points we have. I'm working now with my executive team to really reduce that. And they really appreciate that. And my request to all of you, think about how simple or complex are the self-inflicted HR processes and policies you create, we create as a function. In the past, you needed as an HR person, I always said, you need to be connected at the hip with the CFO. I think nowadays we need to be connected not only with the CFO, but also with the CIO. We're in the lucky position as a function that there are plenty of products out there which are in the cloud. And the future in 5 years, in 6 years, and 7 years, I think once everything is in the cloud, you can actually create a seamless experience to the client, to the customer, which is easy as an iPhone. My vision in BP is, and we've started that everything is at the touch of an application on your mobile device. This is not actually me being crazy here. This is about me being realistic. That's going to distinguish great company from not so great companies. And HR has a great role to play in that. There was a tweet on Friday. Is somebody by the name of Matthew Sinclair here? He tweeted and said, well, basically all that is good, but is the business pulling? Do they want that? And my answer to that really is, well, nobody really wanted the iPhone because they didn't know how it worked, yeah? But now everyone has an iPhone. And my message to you as a function is, please be proactive, step up. I think we are much better, much stronger, but it's really up to us, and it's about choices we're going to make. So the only thing left to say now is thank you so much. You're a wonderful audience, and enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you.